Over the last few months, I've been pumping out videos getting you ready for Cataclysm. Well, now it's here and we're counting down the days until the raids open. How exactly has it been? Was the launch better than the pre-patch? And let's be honest, that's not really much of an accomplishment because the pre-patch was fairly diabolical. I also want to talk a little bit about what I've been up to personally, what I've achieved so far, what I've learnt that might help you out, and some other little random bits and bobs. But before we do that, if you plan on leveling an alt, make sure you pick up the Rested XP guide in the description and the pinned comment. It is an affiliate link, so any guides bought do go towards supporting the channel, and obviously, like and subscribe and all that jazz. Let's dive in. I should really start by saying this has hands down been the best classic expansion launch for me so far. I go hard the first couple of weeks of every expansion to get well established, which you'll probably have noticed the lack of content on the channel since Cataclysm actually launched. Then I slowly reduce the amount of time I'm playing as my goals are being ticked off my list. Just for a really brief overview of what I've done personally, I've got 4 level 85s now, being my Paladin, my Druid, my Priest and my Mage. 3 of them are raid ready or close enough. And the Priest is the last one that I hit 85 on, so that'll be getting my attention over the next few days. I've been digging every spare moment I get and still have no Zimrock or Dwarf Staff. Our dungeon farming group on Mankrik at launch managed to snag 3 Realm First, being Realm First 85 Mage, 85 Druid and 85 Shaman, which felt pretty good. My professions are all sorted with 6 Alchemists for Transmutes, Max Gathering on my Druid, and as you'd expect, things like Tailoring and Engineering on pretty much everything else. I also have near full PvP gear on the Paladin, ready to start getting Conquest points when it becomes available because the Paladin is going to be the character I focus PvP on. And that's pretty much about it, but not bad for a week. During this week, though, I found loads of tips or useful information that I can share with you, and I'm going to share some of that in this video. Before that, though, the launch itself, how was it? I play on a really busy server, and it was actually super smooth. Blizzard did have some making up to do after the abomination that was the pre-patch. The pre-patch had to be the worst World of Warcraft-related launch I've ever seen. Abilities missing, bugs carrying over from the beta as simple as not being able to leave dungeons without a script, or even losing your abilities when you respec, or having to respec to gain abilities that you should have in the first place. Whew, take a breath. Yeah, there was a lot wrong with the pre-patch. Well then, when it comes to launch, we was all worried about expecting a very similar situation, but actually it's been a super smooth week. I know some people have complained about bugs here and there, but personally, I've not been affected by anything. Unless you class my bad luck with Archaeology as a bug, which at this point with 6 max Archaeologists and thousands of souls on my main, I'm calling it a bug. I know it's not a bug, don't worry, you can calm down, don't go for the comments, it was a joke. Now just to cover a few things, you may have more max level characters than me, or you may be the complete opposite end of the scale and be like, how have you got 4 level 85s already? Well, actually, 80 to 85 done right is super fast. We're talking 7 to 8 hours from start to finish, but you do need a group. By day 2, when everyone was slogging away with a level 84 to 85 level on our server, our dungeon group was on our second character. And it is simply dungeon farming, but in the right way. Each week from level 80, you can do 7 randoms for just over 100k bonus each one. These are worth doing, and you want to get to 81 by doing these 7, whilst also getting all the quests done in Blackrock Caverns. And then you're probably thinking, alright Scott, we know what's coming, just keep spamming RDF until 85. No. Now you want a specific queue Stone Core until 83. The bonus from using RDF goes down to 50k a time, and if you queue and don't get Stone Core, you're losing a hell of a lot more than just 50k. You'll get around 7 to 800k an hour doing Stone Core spam, providing you're a semi-decent group, all the way up to level 83. Make sure you're using banners as well in high dense trash areas for even more profit, and just continue to do Stone Core. If at this point when you hit 83 you fancy doing a Vortex Pinnacle for the quests, feel free, but honestly, our group just heads straight to our final destination, which is Grim Batol. We then sit in Grim Batol until 85, and trust me, it is so quick. We don't even bother jumping out now to do Crucible, because in the time it takes to fly over, do the bosses, maybe fight the queue of people trying to do it as well, we could have got more XP in Grim Batol in the same amount of time. We was getting roughly 3.6 to 3.9 million XP an hour in Grim Batol doing full clears. You can't queue at 83, so you do need to die after the last boss and run back in, but that takes about 30 seconds tops, and you can use this time to reset the instance. Obviously, you don't want to be using the Drakes in Grim Batol to kill ads. You want to just cleave through everything in the instance all the way from start to finish and leave nothing alive. I mean, that's it really. Obviously, before you start the 83 Grim Batol spam, it's worth doing the first few quests in whatever zone you want to be using a tabard for. I mean, Ramkehen is a great one because it's super quick. You only have to do a few quests and you're straight away friendly. But in Grim Batol, 83 to 85, you're going to be gaining rep because it's a level 85 dungeon. So you're also going to get a really good amount of rep in those 2 levels. Next, I wanted to touch on professions. If you've watched me for a while, you know I've been trying to get as many of you to have lots of alchemists for true gold cooldowns. Well, it's big profit and it's worth doing, no doubt, especially if you're Transmute Master, but there is one thing people have been sleeping on, and actually I've been using as my daily cooldown for the last couple of days now. Every day you can transmute volatile life into another volatile, and most people think it's random, but it's actually not random at all. Volatile airs are by far the most expensive volatile on our server, and as long as you do the transmute in Oldham specifically, you'll always get volatile air. Every day this is turning like 30 gold into 12 to 1300 gold, and I'm just finding volatile airs are selling so much faster without constantly having to relist them. I find I put a true gold on and it will get undercut 5 or 6 times in the first 5 minutes. So the true gold market is just very, very fierce, whereas the volatile airs are in a lot higher demand. You know, every person that levels engineer needs like 30 of them. So people are absolutely tearing through these volatiles. So I find that you just list them once and then they all sell without having to be relisted. If for some reason on your server there's more expensive volatiles, you can transmute the life into things like fire if you go into Hyjal, or earth if you go into Deepholm. But unless your server is really, really different to mine, then volatile air in Oldham is normally the way to go. I wanted to give you a couple of points about gearing as well. So the Toll-Barrowed rep grind has been made so easy that even if the trinket isn't going to last you very long, it's probably still worth doing. It's like 5 to 6 days tops of doing the dailies and you're exalted. Now, if you're wondering why, this is actually thanks to all of the dailies being available each day rather than the southern ones being random as to what you get. So you're getting 18 dailies done and it's just mega quick. If you team up with a few people as well, it's made even quicker. Another useful little tip is if you haven't already got a really decent pair of boots on your main but you do have an alt, then this week, as long as you capped Valor on your alt last week, you'll be able to get the 1650 boots. In fact, you didn't even need to cap last week, but you needed to do at least one heroic dungeon that gave you Valor points. Now, you can just buy any set of these BOE boots and send them to your main, and that's another item ready for raid in a couple of days' time at the time of recording. Also one I'm sure you're aware of because trade chat would have been spammed about these decks, but Darkmoon Fair is currently on, so if you need something like Tsunami on your healer or Volcano on your casters, then make sure you grab them before the raid. I was a bit of a fool and bought all of the decks very early and they're like half the price now. So if you're looking at it and you're like, I'm never going to be able to afford this in the next couple of days, I wouldn't worry because the economy is so wild at the moment that you can go out and herb and mine or even skin just for a few hours and pretty much pay for a deck instantly. If you haven't got a Gatherer, there are plenty of good spots to farm Ember Silk, which is selling really well as well, or even grab a Potion of Treasure Finding and go grinding for some profit. I'll be breaking down the whats, wheres and hows of my personal farming spots in the next few days, so just make sure you subscribe and then you won't miss those. The final one with gearing is unfortunately Archaeology. We all know the big items which many of us have been trying to dig for hours now, but Tolvir dig sites seem to be super quick at getting them first 2 rares. It's the same reason many of us have leveled up multiple archaeologists. When you hit 450 back during the pre-patch and start solving, you seem to get a safety couple of solves where the first couple of rares come pretty quick. This seems to be applying to Tolvir as well because everybody's getting those first 2 rares extremely fast, and if you're lucky you'll get the caster ring, the one-handed strength sword or a staff. I personally have the ring, I am chasing the staff still, and I'd really like the mount as well to be fair. But if I can get that staff, it'll just be a nice half-decent weapon to send any caster in the future. Because they're bind on account, remember. The one annoying thing is I have to keep sending the Ring of the Boy Emperor between now a priest, a druid, and a mage. Which I suppose I should be moaning about bigger problems than that, but it's still annoying. Anyway, speaking of digging, I'm going to get off and do a bit of digging now, because at the time of recording I have less than 48 hours to get the sword before my guild probably benches me for lack of effort in trying to get Zimrock. So be sure to like and subscribe. Come check me out digging over on kick.com/Scottejaye. You can find that link in the description, and I'll see you on the next one.